Elite 2, we have.
Avery Foster.
And you got first place with.
The best deck.
What's the best deck?
Shaddoll.
Shaddoll, really?
Yeah, Old Faithful. It's what I had available to me, and who would have thought it? Gale Dogra is still an FTK. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, you're here in San Antonio, and you got first place today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How many cards are in your main deck?
40 cards, I think.
40 cards?
I think.
All right, let's get started. We'll do the shoutouts after.
Sounds good. So to start off, I'll go shout-outs to TCG player, Gemtech, biggest one to Dragon Shield, and best team, best sponsor in the game, Top Choice Gaming.
Will they be mad at you for this?
Why? Nobody watches at the end, so I gotta do it now. Alright, 3 Gale Dogra. Card's still an FTK. Who would have thought it? Yes, we're always paying 6. Due to the addition of Garura, there's another +1 that you can send between this and then like the Nadir stuff. So like there's just another card you can draw. Not great going second against tier, but what is? So it is what it is. It's fine against everything else, even going second.
Do you just play or diff them?
What's that?
Do you just play or diff the tier players?
Yeah, it's not close. 3 Hedgehog, it's the best one. It's the one that always gives you a name without having to necessarily put it on board for it to get cleared. We run 2 Squamata. Think about upping it to 3 because due to the nature of the shufflers, it becomes harder and harder to have Shaddolls in graveyard consistently for Schism. So I can see this card going to 3. Issue is just like with the numbers, you still can't like max out way higher on Shaddolls without like it becoming less consistent. We played 2 Wendy, second best one behind Hedgehog, always gives you a name. And then for the one-of-ones, we got Beast, Ariel, Dragon. Ariel's really good right now, just because it's like, oh, but you know, all the tiers activate on their own, so how do you like time that? So it depends on who's turn player. If they're turn player, you can work it so that Ariel will go to the grave at the same time that they mill. So you chain like an El Shaddoll, construct effect, so you activate prior. Like any scenario where they mill, if you send this to the graveyard, they'll mill their 5, declare their chain links because they are a turn player, and then Ariel will banish. Also worth noting, even though like the whatchamacallit deck, the tier deck is like all powerful, it's one of the best decks of all time, they still sometimes have to go Special Shear and pitch 3, and then you can still summon Winda, and like cards like Droplets, Dark Ruler, stuff like that have like dropped down drastically in popularity. And even though a card like Imperm has actually picked up in popularity a little bit, you're not starting your turn with Winda most of the time, so they can't actually beat it with that. In regards to going second versus that deck, good luck. You can go second versus everything else. That one's rough. That deck's just way better than mine. Played 3 Ecclesia, 3 Maximus, 1 Fleur.
You love Maximus.
Yeah, so I get it's like, oh, that's awful. They're just going to send Garura, Kit Kalos, Mill 5, draw 1, and you would be right.
No other explanation?
No, so it's really good against everything else. Plus, even if they go, in theory, like oh, yes, we can do the Mill 5, draw 1 thing, some amount of the time they're just going to Hoffiness you and summon Kit Kalos anyways. So in reality, they're only drawing 1 off this, and you get more cards than that because between some combination of Garura, Ash Dragon, and App Clone, you usually go about +3, and 3 is bigger than 1. So like you'll be fine. Also, if they have to special summon for anything, like let's say you end with Schism and they're like, oh, but they have a Kit Kalos or something on the field, that doesn't really do anything. Like you can beat it, wait until they're gonna special summon, chain, summon Winda. Can't really do anything to that. I know like a harder one is like, oh, if they summon Root Kalos, that's like a potential way to beat you. But you know, that one's rough.
You'll just leave it at that. It's a little rough.
Yeah, it's a little rough, but it's local, so there's other decks.
That's true.
Yeah. Obviously, some number of those come out against like tier, but is what it is. For non-engine cards, 3 Imperm, 3 Nib. This is how I beat the 2 tier players I played against today. People really just don't play around this card. They're like, oh, well, Nib's not very good against the decks, and they put up lackluster boards that combinations of like a nib, super poly, stuff like that end up breaking. I had a tier play earlier that went like normal Rhino, effect, made kit affected, I impermed him and he passed turn.
It's funny because against Sprite, they go the sprint line.
They go the sprint line and it plays into nib,
yeah.
hard into nib. And like, even if they opened like blue or red or something, I know it's like kind of specific, but if you open imperm with it, you just clear every card in their possession. So these cards are decent. It's not perfect, but it should all work with what we got. The trap cards are Schism and Punishment.
Would you ever play more Schism or even like the Shaddoll?
Yeah, no. So like Shaddoll just never has an opportunity to be good because Shufflers are just always in graveyard. Schism lost a lot of like what made it as good due to the nature of the Shufflers. But you just have to like, if you get it to a complicated game state, funny enough, you can actually win due to cards like Aerial and being able to loop stuff and just like player diffing them. But like, if you just get blown out, you get blown out because like every single tier limit monster is this card with another effect. So Shaddoll's cool.
That's your main deck, right? That's all of it? Or no, where's
yeah, I play some spells. So this card's at 3. It's
very
crazy.
Nice.
If you're actually fully committing to the Maximus line, this card by itself is like, alright, Ecclesia for Maximus, App Clone, Garura, and Ash Dragon because it sends. Yeah. So that's draw 1, add Ash Dragon to your hand, or sorry, add whatever
add
it's
like
called.
2 cards, right?
Yeah. Well, words are hard. Yeah, so it's like draw 1, add Fleur, and resolve App Clone, which most of the time will be discarding a Shaddoll, which is a +1 because we play 7 of them, 8 of them if you count Beast. So discard a Shaddoll, which is a +1, add Schism. So like, it's pretty hard to come back from that if you ever start with Nadir going first, and then going second, it's a board breaking card with cards like Natis. Yeah, not much to say there. I thought about playing the Ishizu stuff in this deck, but I just can't justify milling my opponent when all their cards are Schism and mine aren't. In tier, I do it almost every time, but in this deck, I'm resolving Hedgehog. They're resolving an FTK. So 3L, 3 Fusion, 3 Super Poly, 2 Desires.
It's a good spell lineup.
Yeah, you gotta kind of max out.
Especially with Desires.
This card's better than this card, even though like this has the higher chance of being like just a bomb on its own that wins the game. This is the one that actually lets you try and compete with the real decks because it's like another layer of interruption. Due to the nature of the Shufflers, this ends up being what I search some amount of the time over the Schism. Yeah.
Because of the Shufflers.
Yeah, it's a struggle. The extra deck, we play the +1. I'll go through the links first, I guess. There's less of them. 3 link ones. You don't play like the Selene or whatever it's called, the light one. Like I know it's an extra spot.
Selene,
yeah, the Magistus, whatever it's called. Yeah. Just because you want to be able to turn cards like Hedgehog, and then like a hand trap in the side into this, so that you can play off Ecclesia or Maximus. Because you're playing Shaddoll, you have bricks. It turns more hands into playable hands. Garura, Natis, Ash Dragon. Melee gets sent, but it's a super poly target too. I didn't play Mud Dragon. Maybe I should, because I guess like one of my few win conditions against tier going second is them going like Dweller, Rukalos, and then me super polying them. But maybe I have like too much faith in like not doing that. So like, Shaddoll fusion deck. We're playing Mud Dragon. Play 1/1.
The Wendigo?
Yeah.
Nothing to say on Wendigo?
It's probably the card that should become Mud Dragon.
Probably.
I don't know. You get milled more now by your opponent, so like if you get milled more, the random extra deck Shaddoll monsters to add back spells and traps in graveyard get a little bit better because it's like a way to like, I don't want to say force the Shufflers, but kind of like bait the Shufflers. That way your cards like Schism become like live instead of them just like single Shuffler, double Shufflering you over like the course of your turn into their turn. So it kind of like forces them to like hit another card right now. and not whenever it actually matters, like whenever they're killing something or whenever you're like linking off app clone and actually targeting, or not app clone, but like linking off like a construct or a window and targeting something. So like the card's good. Maybe it's cuttable. It's not as good as it was whenever I played it, where there's like hard outs, like oh we need a wait out, like Baron or something, or I don't know. The Flanders matchup's probably unwinnable without this, so it's already a hard matchup. You might just cut it from Undragon.
Okay.
But it's good against Flunder, just because of Schism. Played 3 app clone, and then 2 window, 2 construct. Not much to say. These are the good cards. This is the God card.
That is the God card.
Alright, to the side. Oh god. There are Sprite players at the locals, so this card is playable here. There are random trap players at the locals and Flunder players at the locals. This card is playable here.
Go hand in hand.
Yes. This card's pretty good against Sprite. Pretty mediocre against Tier, but the issue is my options were side like 13 Bystials for Tier and still just be playing a worse Bystial Tier deck than them, or just like say player diff, I'll win the die roll. I had Ogres.
Oh, would they be anything else if you had them? Do you have an idea?
I ogred a Gigantic today. I ogred a map. Like, it was pretty good. It was a grueling 6 rounds, but it is what it is. Ogre was fine. Kind of mediocre, but it was fine. That's about it. So my matchups was 1 Fluandre's Mirror, 2 Sprites.
Fluandre's Mirror? You mean?
Or sorry, well, yeah, I'm used to playing that. Yeah, so my matchups were 1 Fluandre's, 1 Mirror, 2 Sprites, and 2 Tiers. The Mirror was like a different build. It was like a Despia Edge Imp like combo deck. It did way more than my deck, but I don't know, it worked out. I guess like the grind, bunch of fusion monsters deck prevailed.
Nice. Congratulations, Avery. Just happy seeing you again because
It's good to be here.
You don't live here anymore, but
Sorry.
all right. Well, thank you and have a good night. It was subscribe, right?
Oh yes.
And goodbye.